Concrete's beautiful, so beautiful. You don't have to water it, you don't have to mow it, it doesn't lose its leaves, and it doesn't die when cats piss on it. It's reliable, and it doesn't talk back to you.
The word cement comes from the Latin word cementum, which means pieces of rough, uncut stone. Concrete comes from the Latin word concretus, which means to grow together. It was the ancient Romans who developed cement and concrete around 300 BC, so the Italians have been concreting a long time.
If you ask me if concrete was in the blood of the Italians first arrived here, I will say not. Absolutely not. It was in the muscles, because it's hard work, very hard work.
I like to smell the concrete every day, keeping me healthy.
Mambo, solo mambo, questo mambo. Mambo, ma che mambo, questo mambo.
I think sometimes I like more concrete than the wife. Would you believe that? The wife is complaining for the washing machine break down because the concrete got on the washing machine. You know, that's bad. Believe me, you know, that's why we do it. You gotta wash it separate, you know, our clothes. You can't send it to the dry cleaner because he put it in the face. That's why, you know, you gotta be careful for the washing machine because all the stuck the concrete go in the washing machine, it costs you another $700 to buy.
I think Gino, I don't think he's ever taken a sick day. If he has, you can count him on one hand in the 20 years that I've known him. He just loves being at work, and I think it's almost to the point where Sunday comes around, these guys get disappointed because I think they'd rather be having fun at work than staying at home mowing the lawns type thing.
Ed ora che si sente conquistata, questo mambo può ballare. Mambo.
The migrant person that came to this country is a different breed of people. They're people that are hungry. They're people that want to make a success of life. They're people that, you know, left a poor country at the time to come and make a new life. That's given them inspiration. They found what they wanted and they've worked hard and they've taken all the opportunities that were presented.
If you want me to explain how it is when you're arriving here in Australia, when arriving in Sydney,
I don't know where I was going to finish up to, nowhere to find a room for sleep, looking for a job, little cash, no money, was very hard. I cried many, many times, I'll be honest with you.
Mambo, solo mambo, questo mambo è play. Mambo, solo mambo, ma che mambo è play.
Difatti, da statistiche risultava poi a un dato momento che i primi in classifica come possessori di una casa erano gli italiani. L'84% degli italiani aveva una casa propria. È frutto del sudore.
Oh, Ponte mio, sta in fronte a me. Oh, Ponte mio, sta in fronte a me. Oh Ponte mio, sta in fronte a me, sta in fronte a me. Che bello il ponte! It's beautiful, my bridge is mine.
When I first started working on the Opera House, I didn't think it would take as long as it did. I thought maybe 5 or 6, maybe 7 days. But there were too many political problems with the construction. And in the end, it took me nearly 3 weeks. The biggest political problem was with the neighbors about the noise from the radio speaker inside. But an opera house without opera music is not an opera house.
Concrete came into the vernacular in the 50s and 60s. This was a building of its time. And, you know, the Italians were there just at that time. You know, in many ways they made the construction industry their own, you know, and particularly the concrete construction industry, because they had the skills and they were able to lead the way, and many of the firms started in the industry at that time and then developed. And the workers that would have come out of those things, many of them ended up here on the Opera House, and they brought those skills, those Italian skills, to bear on the Opera House in marvelous ways. People strive continuously to get it right, and that shows in the details of the concrete work and what have you. The Italians had an integral part in shaping every single person that lived on here, because they were a vibrant part of the workforce. Everybody who worked and lived on this building actually believed that something great was happening.
Oh, Vice, mi raccomando, all'orecchie, sta attento.
No, sono assicurato, se ritaglio paghiamo poi.
Ah, va bene.
No worries.
Oh, mi ricordo, when I first come to this country, of 17 December 1966, I found a job after 3 days with an Australian building industry, O'Brien Construction. And at the finish of the first day of work, the boss came to me and he said something. But
Me, I didn't understand English, though. I felt he wanna tell me to work harder. So, I tell Mr. O'Brien, Mr. O'Brien, no worries, I promise to you then tomorrow I work very, very hard. So the next day, I go to work and I work very, 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 very hard. I go 1 hour earlier than everybody else. I work hard next to the Mr. O'Brien. No lunch, no smoke, just work, 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 like a slave. And then, in the end of the day, Mr. O'Brien came to me and he said, no more, finito, go home. He sacked me. Why? He fined me. Couldn't understand why. So, I went up the road to a paesano, then he have a fruit shop. He knew a bit English. Asked him to translate. Say, come with me and translate. So, Mr. O'Brien replied, I've been trying to tell him for 3 days to slow down, not to work too hard, not to work harder than the other man, to slow down, slow down. So he sacked me because I no slow down. I think this country very funny. They sack you because you work too hard. Doesn't make any sense. But I learned something, Vincenzo. I learned to slow down and take care easy. So slow down and take care easy, Vincenzo. Sta attento alla capoccia.
Non vuoi qui.
Sta attento.
Abbiamo finito.
Bravo.
In the ancient Romans mix, they used small gravel and coarse sand together with lime and water and volcanic ash, Pozzolana, named after the town of Pozzuoli near Mount Vesuvius. To reduce shrinking, they used horsehair, much like we use polypropylene fibers today. They even entrained the air in the mix, a process that creates small bubbles in the concrete, makes the mix more durable. The Romans did this by adding animal blood.
When I arrived in 1949, concrete was not known in this country. I used to go around with a suitcase full of concrete and heavy to see architects, engineers and builders. The same case and the finishes that I used to present to them. But they didn't understand because here was used around in Sydney was only sandstone, wood and bricks. But today you can see what we have here. Look through these buildings, they are done all in precast concrete, in situ concrete. Very, very little steel has been used and very, very few bricks.
Australia's tallest building towers 384 feet skywards. This is the building Sydney-siders and thousands of visitors know today. A building of advanced design planned for functional efficiency.
Our MP, it was the first job we do it. It was a good job, but hard, believe me. Everything by hand, When we finished 3:30, the ham, it was like this. And the people, a lot of people got stand up for the back too, because we could, stand up the back. Because when you build the barrel all day, they hang like that, and your body put a 25 degrees to the front. And when you finish, everybody was enjoying. Oh, that's why we got it. Just thank you, God, we finished for today.
You must understand, the Italians, they work in the concrete in 50 and the 60 here in Australia, okay? The concrete, not in the blood, it was in their head. Let me give you an example, okay? Let me tell you a story. When we come here in Australia in 1959, we tried to find a house for moving. But the problem with this house was the toilet was outside. I live in Florence. In one house that was older than Julius Caesar, but we have the toilet inside. In Australia, this is a bloody strange country. They keep the dog inside and the toilet outside. I went working and I asked this concrete Italian man. He said to me, why you care about the toilet? You don't need the toilet inside or outside. You take it to work. He said, I never go in toilet in the morning. I take it to work. I serve in toilet pipe, I serve in water, I don't know how to clean the toilet. For come to work, I have to catch a bus, to train and walk for 20 minutes. I can't take it to work. And what about the bloody weekend? You see, this is the mentality of the most of the people that come here.
I was born in Calabria, south of Italy. Calabria to me was childhood. You know, grandmother and grandfather stuff, going to the vineyard and all that sort of stuff. As soon as we arrived in Australia, it was a whole new world. It was almost as though I fell into making money. I fell into, this is a place, gee, you know, you can make money, it's got so many opportunities, you can buy what you want, you can do this, you can do that. My father was a great worker and a great tradesman. He knew how to do lots of things. As the bricklayer, Italian bricklayer, is taught to do roofing and tiling and rendering and bricklaying, etc. But my father didn't speak English very well. His conversation was limited in English, unfortunately. And so I was the businessman, if you like. I had to go out and I had to get work. Well, Queen Victoria Building was just a wonderful opportunity that I was so glad to be involved and to have been given that opportunity. It was a very involved job. It was a job which actually involved me personally on the job. I took pride in coming here 7 o'clock in the morning and actually being on the job myself because it was so important to me. Plastering is an art form. If you look at a lot of this stuff that was done in the Queen Victoria Building in the 1800s, it was run by hand. And most of the arches you see, most of the moulds you see, were run freehand.
It was such a rare opportunity for these thousands of workmen to come together in a building such as this, because here were master craftsmen who had the opportunity of working on something that they knew was going to be unique in Sydney, if not Australia. I remember a particular instance where I was down on the lower level watching two men plastering one of the huge columns. And I rarely stopped to actually observe for long periods what the men were doing. But with these two, I just couldn't help myself because they were like ballet dancers. Slapping plaster on in a seemingly nonchalant manner. But they were doing it with such perfection and precision, and I knew from my limited plaster work how difficult that would be. And I just stood there in awe, and they had no idea that I was watching them.
relationships for me at the best of times have never been easy. But when she came into my life, things had really changed. She was really different. I'd never experienced anything so solid before. And one day the carpet guy, wielding a roll of carpet, came into our lives. He struck a blow to the relationship that had just changed our lives forever.
I first met Vince back in the late 80s when he was involved in a dance studio and a production company. I just moved to Sydney and my ambition was to be a professional dancer.
When I met her, I just thought that the sunshine shone out of every pore of her.
And at that stage he was looking for dancers to be part of his cabaret show.
I remember her just coming in and opening the door. It was like a breath of fresh air coming into the studio.
The very first time I walked into this place, it was a shock. I had never seen anything like it. What are these people doing? How diverse. You know, here's me thinking, here's Vince, this entertainer that I work for, and yet I walk in here and it's there's a pile of sand and bags of cement and balustrade moulds. It was a complete shock. I had no idea.
Yeah, she's completely changed my life around from being a vagabond, not so much a vagabond, a wanderer, I was in the show business, people would say, let's go here and I would do it, let's go and sing there and I would go. She's stabled me. She's sort of putting nails on my shoes.
The strangest thing was with his hands, after seeing him working here and then seeing him play the piano or seeing him lift the girls or spin the girls, hold the microphone, was just bizarre. The transition that I had to make going from showgirl to concreting was a major transition. Complete change of life. I knew nothing about concrete, absolutely nothing. I grew up on a farm, so any knowledge that I had of anything other than showbiz was how to pick cherries, how to grow cherries. All of a sudden, I had to know about concrete, what a mix ratio was.
I remember when I was at school, my friends would talk about going to the football or the cricket with their dads on the weekend. My dad, he'd take me concreting. This uncle's garage, that cousin's driveway. No council approval. Just a plate of pasta, a litre of wine, and we'd concrete until the sun came down. By the time my friends were 15, 16, they could replay in slow motion every type of football tackle. Me, I could lay a slab and put up a garage.
Mi mancherai, lo sai. Mi mancherai tanto, sì lo so. I miei giorni saranno vuoti senza te. Cosa fare? Ma che fare?
I don't think that concrete is in the blood. It's thicker than blood. And in the right hands, it can be a real work of art.
Il cavallo di queste dimensioni, 8 metri d'altezza, avrà un peso, non so, di 7-8 tonnellate adesso. È fatto di una struttura metallica, ci ho buttato dentro stracci, ho riciclato rottami vari, vecchie sedie, poltrone, pellicce. C'è anche una grossa pelle di canguro lì dentro. Cosa pazzesca, eravamo in ufficio, ma si era un po' rovinata. E poi, naturalmente, con la rete metallica, quando la forma più o meno era vicino, con le rete metalliche spruzzare il cemento, speciale cemento, e io nell'impalcatura ero lì sopra, lì a vedere come veniva fuori, e poi l'abbiamo spruzzato il cemento, una cosa magnifica, ecco che è molto bello. E qui in Australia forse questo qui è una specie di simbolo di questi cavalli generosi che lottano e corrono e magari sono stanchi, si accostano per un po' e poi riprendono la corsa. Ecco un po' anche il mio destino di questo paese, arrivare, correre, pigliare respiro e riprendere la corsa. A 85 anni ne ho fatte di strada.
Di avere una bella casa. Ecco il sogno dell'italiano, di avere una bella casa.
Sei tu lo splendore dei sogni miei che vive in me. Sei proprio tu, anima mia, che sento in me, che voglio avere accanto a me, vicino a me, solo per me. Ti amo, sai, amore mio, di giorno, di notte, sì, io penso a te, mi manchi, non vivo più, ti imploro, ti voglio qui, sei tu. La visione del mio cuore, amore.
I think that we've changed architecturally the face of Sydney because there's such nice columns and the product, especially when you start putting them in the right type of a house. I mean, mind you, the Europeans, they tried to do their best, with whatever they had, they just wanted to recreate a little bit of what they were used to, or perhaps they just wanted to do their little castle, with their little columns. By putting this little column, it would make the house their palace.
Ti amo, sai, amore mio.
It's a dream of all Australians, bricks and mortar. But for Italians, it became so much better because of their skills in the trades. They could buy the house, they could fix it up, they could add value to it, they could sell it and move on and do it again.
For we are God's fellow workers. You are God's field, God's building. By the grace God has given me, I laid a foundation as an expert builder. And someone else is building on it, but each one should be careful how he builds. For no one can lay any foundation other than the one already laid, which is Jesus Christ. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 9 to 11.
You can go to my grandfather, he was a fisherman, but he could lay concrete. He could lay concrete, he could do tiles. He was a perfectionist in everything he had to do. He learned, if he didn't know, if he didn't understand it, he'd go out and ask questions, learn about it and come back. And when they do that, they'll come back and if it's not right the first time, they'll do it the second time and it'll be right. And then after that, as they're progressing in their skill, they learn to perfect that skill. It's not like close enough is good enough. It had to be perfect.
Using concrete, the ancient Romans built about 8,500 kilometers of roads, Roman baths, the Colosseum, and the Pantheon. The most famous ancient use of concrete in one of the most historically and architecturally significant buildings of the ancient world. One story goes that to build the dome, they packed the inside with dirt right up to the roof, carefully molding the roof in dirt before directly pouring the concrete onto it. Now this is where the real Italian ingenuity comes into play. To get the dirt out, the builders announced that buried in it were gold coins. So what happens? Every Roman turns up and starts shoveling and digging the dirt out for free. And there you have it, the birth of the first clever developer.
This is important for as the Italian community as a whole. I mean, as we know, the migration from Italy started very early, even before First World War, and we had a few migrants here. In Leichhardt and this area here, the inner west, there's one type of community, and they came out here. To me, they came out with virtually nothing, with just a suitcase. Everyone will tell you the same story. They come out with a suitcase. So when they're coming out here, they're struggling, taking on family that's back home or bringing a family over with them. Outside of Italy, this has never been created. Nowhere in the world this has been created. As you're walking through, you'll see the Milano end of the building, which gives you that presence of being in an Italian centre. And as the street signs point out, you can see that you're in the Florence building. New York's got a little Italy, San Francisco's got a little Italy, but that's strip shopping. This is a true replica from Italy. To say here, this is Little Italy. Being a replica with style and a village atmosphere with the apartments, the shopping. We're going through the Naples building at the moment. We have our florist, our perfumery. And then when you get through to the end here, this is Palermo, and you have the Milano section that looks into the Piazza de Milano section, looks over the city.
Are you going to encourage the kind of Italian thing where it's going to be quite chaotic with the clothing hanging over the
No, the clothing, no. That side of it. The clothing, we do encourage the plants, putting out pots, plants, different seasons, different plants. Yes, we encourage that. But having the actual clothing, no. The whole centre is not to be a gimmick. It is a true village. Atmosphere with style, with the Italian style and finishing. This is the Rome now. We're coming from Milan to Rome, and this changes the look again. What we had in the Milan was a colonnade effect of narrow shop fronts, similar shop fronts all throughout, but again, the look of the walkways change. This is a grand esplanade type look, where there's more of a narrower colonnade look. We try to be diplomatic, so we picked two from the north, which is your Milan and Florence, Rome is in the middle, and you got two from the south, which is your Naples and Palermo.
Vince, I believe, has concreting in his blood, but with him it's more like an expression of art, I guess, rather than, you know, down hard-working labour, that type of thing. He tends to sort of create a story with his concrete. He likes to, it's another form of expression for him now.
My father started in the column business by somehow he got a little balustrade like this, and basically the same sort of size balustrade, and it was done in 3 pieces. He had a cut here and a cut here. He started making some, basically more for himself. So a little while just went by, and people, you know, this person that he was talking to, he knew that he was mucking around, you know, with making little balustrades. So he told somebody else, and until somebody said, look, I'd like to buy some of this. And he thought, well, yeah, okay, well, I'll make you some, you know, and that's basically how the business started.
My dad was mainly a labourer. He ended up doing small developments. Responsibility was the main thing I learned from my father. Also, in taking that responsibility and nurturing and making sure that that I have all the ethics that he has, and the respect of others. I believe that, example, my son, he's learning all the aspects of life that I've learned through my father. So I think it'll be handed down, having the Australian flavour with the Italian heritage again, that I think that's a great blend. If it breaks down at all, it will be because making their life a little bit too easy, not showing the respect and taking responsibility, like giving your child everything, which some of the Italians have because of not wanting them to work as hard. They tend to give their children everything. But if they continue on showing the responsibility and how to take that responsibility, it'll be a great blend, and I feel that Australia will just become a better place.
I told my kid, you don't come in the concrete, I'll kill you if you're gonna come in the concrete. That's what I said to my kid. There's no way in the world you're gonna come and do the same job. I said, I send you to school, a better life, because my life I was destroyed at the time, you know. But I don't want my family to do the job I do it.
With the fall of the Roman Empire in the AD 400s, the secret of making cement was lost, but not forgotten. In 1756, John Smeaton, a British engineer, rediscovered how to make cement, and the world started concreting once again. Rome again was supreme by creating such masterpieces as the Corvioli, a cement serpent 9 floors high, 30 meters wide, and more than 1 kilometer long. Seen by many Romans as a monster, but also seen as home by 8,000 people. Legend has it that the architect, Mario Fiorentino, after having seen the monster he created, he suicided. Now this is cement gone crazy. It's completely mad. It's nutso. A catacomb of the 21st century.
It was a very bad night. It was raining. There was a thunderstorm. And suddenly I heard a terrible noise outside. My husband was very sick. So I went outside by myself to check. The flamingo was split in 2. I told my husband, Franco, flamingo is finished. It is broken. He said, don't worry, I'll fix it. And the next day, he was outside fixing the flamingo. 2 weeks later, my husband was dead. And after that, I didn't think about nothing. And everybody forgotten about the flamingo. After a few years, the neighbours start laughing about the flamingo. And they said, why don't you put it in the rubbish? And I said, no, because it means too much to me now. It was the last job my husband did. I want to fix the flamingo properly, but I'm too scared that if I do, he'll fly away.
Well, I think the first time I came in here when it was completely finished was when we had a soccer game with the builder at the time, Multiplex. And being out actually in the middle on the grass, you just felt the aura of how big this place certainly was. And you just thought to yourself, imagine running out here, being an athlete or playing a soccer game and having 110,000 people cheering. It was a sense of achievement. I felt proud for my father because I know Dad put his heart and soul into this place, and I just thought how proud he would feel himself.
You gotta turn around and say, I'm the one done all this concrete work here. We're talking 112,000 cubic meters of concrete on this area. More than 20,000 trucks of concrete. It's a fantastic. And I gotta say, this job here, supervising myself, that's probably the reason they give me the contract, because I have to commit myself to supervise this job here. And I only say, I lost a lot of sleep when I was building, because it's not a small job, it's a big job. And this is the best stadio, and the fastest stadio, and the only stadio complete before the time. I'll be honest with me, the day I come here the first time on the opening, I'm probably crying right through the night. I'm semi-retired now. I'm still remaining director of the Martin Gasparini. I supposed to come and work 3 days a week, but I can't stay away. I'm still working 5.5 days a week.
I first discovered music at the age of 13, 14. You know, the Italians, they like to have their son play the piano accordion or bring something from the old country.
Our relationship has changed quite a lot since our transition from show business into concreting. It's actually easier now because we're more stable in the sense of we're not sort of rushing off to do this, rushing off to do that, rehearsing live shows, here for a night, there for a night. We've got a home, we're based.
When I was playing music at night time, we'd be working till 3 o'clock in the morning, you know. And then I get home 4:30, hit the bed, 6 o'clock in the morning, I had to get up and go and do concreting. I'm a singer that concretes, and I am a concreter that sings.
My friends say this love affair will never last. You and me, they say, just a passing thing. Funny they should say these things to me, but they don't see the love I feel for you. They'll never know what it means to love you so. The clouds in the way are only in their mind. Together forever. Together forever. You and I will be. The love you've given me can pass the test of time. How can life go on without you by my side? You're everything to me, you are my fantasy. Don't you see, you and me are meant to be. You and me, I say, will never ever part. Together we will last till the end of time.
If my father was around now and he would see me doing what I'm doing now, I would hope that he would be proud of me, because I certainly am very proud of him, of what he did and how hard he worked, achieving what he achieved. I sometimes feel I'm just an extension of my dad. The things that he couldn't do, I'm actually doing, maybe perhaps for him. I just wish that I had his stubbornness and his drive to, or maybe I've got it. Maybe I have a little bit of that. I'm not sure.
I would love to swap my Italian grass in my backyard for green grass. I would love that. We have a cement backyard. And the simple fact that I grew up on a farm with hundreds of acres of grass, I miss it. I miss the smell of cut lawn, and so I would love to have green grass in my backyard. It's the great Australian dream for me to have a backyard with grass and a hills hoist and a barbie at the back. But I'll have the pergola there as well.